Hi friends, good evening, and this is your host Ankit Khanelwal joining you from Delhi, India, and we have Kimberly Calhoun joining us from North Carolina, United States of America. Good morning, Kim, and good morning to the world, and welcome to IBM TV Stary Saturday, 13 June, show number 96, continuously
Oh,
since 1996.
oh my gosh, 96. I feel old.
And Kim, I can say that we are celebrating our 100th anniversary soon.
Hey, 100.
100 within 100 within approximately 3 months.
That's just unbelievable. And people don't know what it takes to do a daily show. I mean, there's a lot involved. It's not like we just sit down and talk. I wish it were
And
that
Kim,
easy.
and Kim also, we have a trivia question today, and if someone will answer, we will invite that person on our 100th show. The
Okay.
trivia question is that how many minutes we have recorded since 9th of March.
How many minutes? I don't even know.
Jim is calculating. So
I mean,
as Anandmai, they are calculating how many minutes.
is it kind of like when you put a jar of M&Ms up there and you go, how many M&Ms are in the jar?
Yeah. Certainly.
Because if you you're going to have to go back and look at every episode we have and see how many minutes we filmed for every episode, because it's going to be different. Maybe we'll make it easy on people and ask them how many hours we not minutes but hours.
But they have to calculate minutes as well, because then only they will come to ours.
Right. So we'll tell people, the one who comes the closest. We'll have a competition, and anyone who comes the closest, we'll come up with a prize.
Certainly.
Absolutely. And so your computer looks like it's working today.
Because I have removed everything.
Sometimes we have to do that.
There is nothing. I am trying to get my backup and work from some other computer till the time we don't have a new one. But that is what I don't know what to do. Yesterday also it was rebooting every now and then, maybe every 40 minutes or maybe an hour or so. I don't know what's going on.
Well, yesterday was a fabulous show with all those doctors, and what a great update.
But Kim, I'll tell you, a lot of doctors didn't show up yesterday because of the current situation, and some of our doctors are not well. So they just need some time to get well soon, and then they can join the show.
So yeah, I noticed that. Are we going to have any of the doctors potentially show up today? Because that's what I'm looking at our list.
Today we have Anandmai. She's waiting for us when we can put her live, and so as Jim, and then Mansi will join, and then we have Dr. Saggu's talk show, and then we have Dr. Yu's Stemcell and then cricket show, which is unfortunately because of a lot of contracts, cricketers denied to join. I have invited a couple of international cricketers, but at the last moment they had some media contracts.
Okay.
So they said yes to me, but after cross-checking, they said it's difficult because it violates the rules and conflict of interest and blah blah blah. So I don't know what to do. But I think both are guests on backstage. They play cricket, so we can invite them on 1 p.m.
Well,
show.
there you go. They know cricket, and I think we're going to call Jim Dr. Jim because, or Professor Jim, because of. Or Coach, maybe Coach Jim, because he does fitness, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but yes, and then we have Dr. Anandmai.
Anandmai, I'm not sure whether she's had a doctor degree or not, but I think she's an engineer. So let me ask her, bring her live.
Bring her live.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
Namaste.
You look lovely. Namaste. You look so beautiful today.
Thank you.
I think you have a fan. He's in backstage.
Yes.
It's Jim. Coach Jim.
Hi.
But we enjoyed your talk with us last week so much, and looking forward to it today because we need it, right? We need to start finding some peace amongst us around the world, some understanding in our hearts, right? And this is where we talked last week about finding love within ourselves first. And so I appreciate you coming back and sharing with us all of this good message that we need to hear. So, how are you doing today?
All good here. Thank you so much for asking. The weather was a little tricky here in Delhi today. It tricked us that it's going to rain, but then it said, bye, I'm not coming now.
Don't you love that? Mother Nature can do that, can't she? But so can humans, right? Humans can do that as well. So Mother Nature can trick us into thinking we're going to have something one day, and she can turn around and go and do something else. But then humans, we end up with that same emotional impact in many ways. What are some ways we can do when we feel like we're expecting something and then something else happens? How can we avoid that odd feeling?
Okay, so what I like, this is something which I was thinking in my head before coming to this show, that this is what I'm going to share. So what happens that we tend to think a lot. We think a lot about the past, what has happened, and when we think a lot about what's going to be there in the future, like in next minute, in next day, next year, next month, whatever. But we forget to stay in here and now. Just before starting this, I was sitting at this at my desk, and I was thinking that, oh God, what question and all that, and that happens to everyone. It's very natural and it's very normal. Then I just took few seconds to breathe in and just be here with my laptop, with my headphone, and just to think that, okay, what it's gonna be, just here, be still and be alive. And whatever it comes up, then go with that flow. Do not think and plan. So I'm not saying that you do not have to plan your life, but what will you gain if you think a lot about your past and a lot about your future and missing out the present?
Namaste.
So can't see who said.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes, especially when you're sharing something beautiful and wonderful or great information, we kind of like to spotlight you, and that's kind of hard for some people. So we're not disappearing on you. Sometimes we might have to, or sometimes we accidentally go out, and sometimes we might have to step back. Like I might need to sneeze or something. But yeah. um, but how beautiful is that? And it's interesting that we're on the same subject. So it says that we are on the same level around the world, that we're not alone, right? We're all kind of feeling the same thing. And maybe the reason is we've all been sharing the same crisis and same trauma and impact around the world. And this is what I love about these talks is I'm learning I'm not alone in this. How about you, Ankit?
Same thing. I mean, I think that this is the first time when it's a level pitch for everyone.
That's
It's
right.
just that how you want to play yourself. And I usually like to play on my strengths. I don't think about the weaknesses, because everyone has those weaknesses. But if you think on playing on your strength and work on your weaknesses and learn and implement and don't repeat your mistakes, that is what I believe in. And also, I mean, my father told me something when I was a child, that don't get overexcited with anything, or with any moment, or with any gift or anything like that, because that shows a lot of your weaknesses. And I mean, anyone can play with that basically. So if I have some excitement, also I know how to manage those excitement and keep it calm, and keep it straightforward. Yeah.
Keep calm and carry on. Jim, speaking about strengths and weaknesses, which is something we learn in the game of chess and building the fitness, how do you feel about this level playing field that we're dealing with?
Well, I think for the first time in my life, I feel like some guarded optimism that we're becoming unified, because we are all experiencing the same thing, the same fears, the same a sense of it. It's building communities where communities did not exist before. I think it's one of the things that, there's a lot of downside to this pandemic, but there is a sliver of hope, and there's a silver lining that we're all feeling like we're in this together. And, sometimes we make progress towards that, and other times we backtrack. But this time it feels a little bit different to me. It feels like, when I see someone wearing a mask and I'm wearing a mask, I feel like we're in this together, and
Wow.
it's a connection that I feel. And I really like what the general topic, because I tell myself not to future trip. That's the word I use, because my mind always goes to the worst case scenario. And I think in the future, I think of, oh, this bad thing is going to happen, when the chances are overwhelmingly that that bad thing is not going to happen. So I waste a lot of energy and anxiety on things that are not going to happen. And when I look in the past, I look to the past without regret. The past forms us, but it can also inform us. And if it informs me not to make the mistakes that I have done in the past, so my future can be a little bit brighter.
Wow. Wow, I call you Doctor and Anandmai, but and you might not be a doctor, but I do definitely feel you as a doctor because you heal, And to me, I don't care whether you have an education in it, with a piece of paper. If you're there to heal, you are a physician of souls and minds, and that is a physician of health and body. So,
Thank you very much.
what when you woke up this morning, you came up with it, because I was thinking the same thing. I was praying. I do an hour of prayer in the morning, as well as my physical therapy. I feel like this is a unity and communion of feelings. How can we move forward? I mean, we're playing on our strengths, but I think sometimes we have to know our weaknesses, right? We're all weak. I'm not going to be ashamed of it anymore. I have a lot of weaknesses.
No,
I
everyone has it. I mean, you can't hide it out. If you don't have a
So
weakness, that means you are superhuman.
Right, but I was taught the same thing, Ankit. I was taught to always show my strengths, right? And I come across as a bully sometimes, and I'm not. I am not a bully. I will not stand down. You know, I will not stand down, almost to the bad point. But we've been hit with this. We were talking about this yesterday, where we feel like Mother Earth is taking back. Right, we are the virus, as Jim and other people have said, and Mother Earth is taking back what's hers. And maybe she's telling us we need to work together. We destroyed her in many ways. We violated the earth in so many horrific ways. I was listening to people without water.
Yeah.
That should have never happened. If we're an intelligent species, we should have never tapped out our water table, right?
I agree.
If we're smart, you know but I don't know what's going on there. I've heard stories where people have blocked and siphoned the water tables, and they're hoarding them in places so that they can sell them back to people. I've heard just many stories, whether they're true or not. But you know what, we have to get our minds back to where we need to be, to focus on what we need to do to make things right. And I think so your message for us today is very powerful. Share a few more things for us.
sure, Kim. Adding to what you said, that and I wrote this, I think, day before yesterday. So every day a new wisdom comes in, and then I write it somewhere on Facebook or in my diary. So I wrote it that next time when someone asks you to be positive, just say them, tuck to my hand like this. And because you cannot appreciate and accept light if you cannot embrace the dark. So whatever negativity is it, you have to accept it, experience it, embrace it, and then rise from the ashes. You need dark, you need night to see the stars. You cannot see the stars in bright day. So whatever it is, it can be your as you say, we all have weaknesses, we all have fears, and we all have other things which we do not want to show to others. And then slowly what we do, that we stop accepting it for ourselves. Also we start denying them, that oh, I can't get fearful, I can't get fearful, oh, I am a very strong person. And then we cover up it so much that if someone else point it out, we become very offensive, and we are like, oh god, now he know me, now what to do. Then you start building that distance from the person, that okay, I should not go to that person because the person has seen my other side. And that uh, brings out the differences between two people or maybe two countries as well. So when you start accepting your own weaknesses, when you start accepting your own dark sides, the ugly sides, no one else in this world can judge you. And when that judgment is gone, only unconditional love and acceptance is there.
But why we are so concerned about judgments? I mean, we are so concerned about judgments that we always like to judge ourselves, and we like to judge others, and we also want to know what someone else is thinking about us, and then we create that gate that whether we have to open it or we have to close it.
Because first of all, our upbringings is in a way that we have to follow some standards. We are not given a free platform where we can just rise of what we are. We are compared to our siblings, we are compared to our neighbors children, that they have got this much marks or they are earning that much. So all these small things, they start adding up, and then we start saying to ourselves, even if for a small failure, oh, I'm not good enough. And the day one, when you say this, you are not good enough or I'm not good enough, you're planting a seed of self judgment. And then that grows with time, with the experience you have in your life. And then when we judge ourselves, others' judgment or others' validations, they become very important for us, that what they think about me, uh, are they liking me or not? So all these things, they start happening because we have planted that seed long back in our heads.
Yes. And hello. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning,
Welcome.
Sarah. How are you?
You're joining us with some beautiful woman who shares with us
Good morning.
a practice of peace and soul and mind. And Amanda, I find we're on the same length, because the other day, now I'm writing it down again to reinforce it. I was coming up with words of what do people want from me to make their lives happier. Not just about me either, right? And I came up with, they want to be appreciated, and this is what you're talking about. They want to be accepted, right? And they want approval, judgment, right? The judgment thing. So this is amazing that we are like in the last few days. And again, I wrote it down again, but it's in my book. I don't know if you can see it, but I wrote it at the top of my page the other day when I was thinking about how can I reach out to more people? What do they need? And then you're saying it, and I'm writing it down again. So I think these are things we need to think about, because we all want to be accepted, like you're saying. We all want to be accepted, and we all want to be appreciated.
Well, I'm repeating myself, but yesterday I mentioned that I try not to let praise go to my head or criticism go to my heart.
I know, keep repeating that. We need that, that. But what a powerful message you're sharing with us today, Sarah. How do you feel about this message today?
I'm just keying in now, but it sounds like the message of the day is that we all want to be accepted in our heart's heart. I like to use that as my own mantra when I'm dealing with, especially with people who are upset or aggravated. I work in the correctional system. So when I'm talking to people frustrated or they're yelling, or I just back my mind, this person's just.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So one of the things that would be interesting is to have this kind of conversation with you with what she does. She works for a juvenile correction center in Chicago, the reform program. But this is what, and if you think about it, they're judged, right? But why are they doing what they do? And if we really evaluate it, it's because they want to be accepted, right?
Yeah.
But we need to focus on what are the things we want to be accepted for. Wow, we are being judged every day. And Jim, I love your message. Repeat that every day for me, please. Remind me. Yeah, everybody goes, Kim, your head's way out here, and I'm like, no, not really.
I will share with you what I was doing with my spiritual practice this morning when I was waking up and walking my dog, and it was like. I started to get confused because when we look at a battery, there's a negative end and a positive end. And we don't think of that as good and bad. We don't think that the positive side is light and the negative side is dark. So why do we use that language of electromagnetism to describe our feelings and our attitudes? And I think we need a different vocabulary when we're describing our attitudes than positive. Someone's a positive person or someone's a negative person. And I don't think you think of that in terms of electromagnetism, and we need a new vocabulary to describe what we're talking about, because it's not the electrical magnetic field, but it is a field. And if you feel you come upon a positive person radiating positive energy, that is a force in this universe, and you feel it, and it hits you, and you know it. And if they're negative, same thing. These waves are coming at you, and you feel them. And so if you're around negative people, you feel negative. But I'm making the mistake of using the word negative. We need a different vocabulary to describe that, because it's a force, it's a power, and there are waves that come at us. But it's not electrical magnetic field, and it's not electrical magnetic waves. It's something else, which I have not the vocabulary to.
It's the energy which you feel, and that energy, gives you a signal that positivity or negativity. I think that is what.
So what I call it, Ankit, is I call it a high vibration person or a low vibration person. It's just a vibration.
Oh,
Perfect.
It is either high or at low. If they match you, or if sometimes you walked into a party of 100 people and then suddenly you are attracted to someone who you do not know at all. Why is that happening? Because your vibration is talking even before you.
Yes.
So that is when you match equal vibration people. That's what is happening between me and Kim and everybody here, because we are like worlds apart, 7 oceans apart, sitting and thinking the same thing, because we are in the same vibration. So that is how I call it, that it's either a high vibration or a low vibration.
Oh, and I love that. This is, we have there's a movie. I like movie saying sometimes, you're either with me or without me, high or low. We're either together or we're not. So no, I like that, high or low. That truly defines in a positive way where we are at in a measurement, right? Rather than negative or positive. I like that.
I really like it because, I think fear and shame are low vibrations.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. So
shame is an interesting thing to me, because I'm writing a book about it right now.
Wow.
Well, the elements is based on the difference between men and women in workplaces. And some of the research that we have done, because I sit on the board of North Carolina State University in the computer science department. One of the reasons was because so many women were dropping out of the engineering world. And I learned that we have a means of shaming ourselves a lot more than men. We accept every failure as shame rather than, the way they do it. Men accept it different, but men will take fame where women take shame.
Yeah.
In the same,
you're writing this because you have so much spare time, right?
So, I don't know, but in the exact same incident, a woman will accept shame where a man will accept fame for the exact same act. So I've been trying to research and understand that. And it's not to be negative. I'm just trying, I'm trying to say that was interesting, that the word, shame and failure, negative. And I think these are things we have to overcome in here, right? But, the same act, and there's this huge difference. And it will be explained better in my book. I'm not going to talk about it here, because we're here to talk about how can we build ourselves up. But that's who we are. Right.
Interesting. We would like to know about the book, but whenever you want to release it. But what's the title of the book?
Okay, I'm still working on it. But men have fame, women have shame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's a working title. And
that is great.
And Kate, I want to tell you that as an author, you don't really want to talk about what you're writing about until you've written it, because it changes your
It
perspective.
changes a lot.
Yes.
The
Yes.
only book I never changed, because I'm working on another book. I've got several books on the fire, but the only book I never changed was the one I actually published. And I wrote it in less than 3 months
Yeah.
because I was told to have it written and done before I go on a speaking tour. And I'm like, my speaking, actually, I wrote it in less than 3 months because I started it, but I wrote it in less than 3 weeks and published it.
But Kim,
Wow.
I need some guidance or something, because I want to write a book. It's been 2 years. Everything is in my mind. I don't know how to start.
You start,
And also we need some time to do that as well. I mean.
Well,
you start here.
the hardest
I
thing
have
for
it.
an author is,
I have some chapters ready, but I don't know how to move forward or what to do. I mean,
yes. I have some advice, because I am one of those authors that stared at a blank screen and didn't know where to begin. And for me, and this may not work for you, but it worked for me, is to make an outline.
Mhm.
And
I did the outline.
you did.
Outline is ready. I just have to write the chapters basically, and then get it edited. But the time is a problem, and also I don't know what should I do, how should I make it a little different, and all those things. So because of all those questions, I mean, it's difficult.
Is it a knowledge-based book, or is it fiction or nonfiction?
It's more about the experiences what I have and what I learn, and more about business and startups and the journey, globalization and global and all those things basically.
So do yourself a favor, rather than trying to put it on, if you got your notes and everything, stand up and do a speech about it. And find in any speech you want people to walk away, depending on if your speech is 30 minutes or 1 hour. This is the coaching I got. If it's 30 minutes, you want people to walk away with 3 things. Don't make them work too hard. Make it easy for them. Open your speech with real quick who you are, what you're doing, the 3 things you want them to walk away with. Don't make them think about it. And then if it's 1 hour, you want 5 things, right? But speak, if it's a subject matter that you're teaching people, get up and speak about it. It will write so much better. That's how I was able to do that so fast, because it was my speech.
That's good advice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that is excellent advice.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what you guys are saying about, especially you and Kate, with having all of these things that you want to say and like things that you've learned and wanting to put them together and start them. And I feel like on our journey to being our best selves, we kind of all come across that moment where we're like, I want to work on this. I want to work on that. I want to be this. And I think that's something a lot of us struggle with is, okay, well, how do I start doing this? Like, where do I start?
And then we got this beautiful woman here who helps you focus, right?
Yeah.
So listening to Ankit and Shara, it's going in back of my head. Oh, lots of limiting belief coming up. So we need to decondition them and then again condition them in a way that that you're able to focus on what exactly you need to do. Because we all have a lot of ideas. In fact, I myself had a lot of idea 2 years ago, and I was struggling just to be there in my one job. Now I heal people on weekends. I take one-to-one sessions. I do my regular job. I have other stuff to do, a lot of things. So when I sit here and think about like 2 years ago and where I am right now, a lot of things have shifted. And what I did was I just fine-tuned my beliefs, which I had about myself. Because we are conditioned in a way that we can do one thing at a time. And especially in India, Ankit, you will relate to it. It said that hard work is the key. You do not have to work with a hammer or a shove. You have to work smartly. That how you plan your day, what exactly do you want to do. We are kept, there's a school, my school group where we are 40 people, and what comes up is that a lot of them are engineers, a lot of them are doctors. I think I'm the only one who is in this profession, who is doing a kind of healing work. So thinking out of the box is more of a fearful stuff that, oh God, if I'm not into a mainstream education, what will happen to me? If I'm not a doctor or an engineer or a CA, a chartered accountant, or a pilot, maybe that is also a fancy profession. So if I'm not into the mainstream studies, what will happen to me? Where will I land? Here will you land? Like, this is a place where you land, where you will be happy doing what you are doing. So a lot of deconditioning needs to be done. And addition to Kim, what she was saying earlier, that we women, we take a lot of shame. It's because of the conditioning of boy and girl both. From the
Yeah.
childhood, boys are not supposed to go into the kitchen, and girls are supposed to be in the kitchen. So these sort of conditionings.
Okay, cook.
I am just saying. I'm not saying it.
You're right.
In your
You're right.
case.
And generally, yeah.
In general, what happens? This is sort of my brother is an awesome cook. So
Right. In general, though, that is the mindset. When you go to
and
college,
I'm a
that is the
horrible one.
mindset.
That's a mindset, yeah, I understand.
That is
Yes,
the
so,
To add
that
on
was
that,
what-
to add on that, all the top chefs in the world, they are mostly men.
So that's what I was saying. My brother is an awesome cook, and I'm the horrible one in my family. But that's a general tradition where these type of conditionings are done from my childhood. So this is what my next point was, that if we can incorporate all these healing things, or maybe small meditations in our school, in our kindergartens, in one generation, you will see a huge shift in the consciousness of the humankind, the entire humankind.
And
So,
just meditation and implementing that is what you're saying.
yes, just because there are a lot of things, a lot of healing therapies and techniques going around the world, but just adding 30 minutes meditation will make a huge shift. It will make them a better person who can be who will be there to actually share and to learn about what the other person is going through. It's not only about self, that, oh, okay, this is my notebook, this is my pencil, this is what we'll fight over in our school.
Yeah.
But so the point what I want to make here is that if we just make a small changes in our school systems, where we just add 30 minutes of self-healing program or a small meditation program, just in one generation, the entire shift will take place. And
I
that's
agree
what
with that.
I do too.
So
Yeah.
that's what
One
the
step
earth
at a time.
actually requires.
Kimberly, what century is our education system in?
Oh, you're hitting me, aren't you?
Yeah.
Our education system is still in the 19th century. Our government system is still and laws are still based on the 18th century. But we're required to develop and innovate 21st century results. We can't continue on at that pace because the 18th century was way too prejudiced in the way that we wrote their laws. And we need to change. We need to get rid of the system.
But Kim, to add on the education system, I can see the panelists right now, and it looks like a 21st century panelist.
There we go. You know, I've never had this. You know, thank you, Aunt Kit, because this has never happened to me in my career. Right? I have shown you pictures of me in my career, right? And I'm always the only woman in my position, and this has never happened before. So I feel like we have made one giant leap for all, you know, not just for women though, but I think for humanity, because when we start just like this,
let's before we start, let's play a basic game. We just have to share one word, what comes in the mind, and that we'll discuss about it, because it is one of the therapies. I think Anandmai and Mansi know about it, but we have done it on corporate level a lot of times. So that gives you what kind of personality you have, and I mean, we can take our discussion forward. We'll start with Mansi.
Self-confidence.
Anandmai.
Freedom.
Happiness.
Wonderful.
Healing.
Healing?
Healing.
Very good. Positive. Kim?
change.
Huh?
Change.
Change.
Wonderful. So as all the females are talking about self-confidence, happiness, healing, and change. Those are all powerful words, basically.
Well,
and that shows lot of positivity and lot of strength and lot of power, and that is what the empowerment, women empowerment we talk about, and we have on IBM TV right now.
and you know, we have to each of these elements occur because we are positive and moving forward, and we're not sitting and waiting for it to happen, right? We are out here doing something. We're executing excellence in making sure that these things occur. But welcome, Mansi. Do you want to share with everyone?
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Not everyone are.
And Mansi is also writing a book.
Ah,
Hi, Mansi.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jim. Hi, Anandmai. Hi, Ankit and Kim. Right. I just quote a few sentences from Anandmai. I think just when I joined in, and she was talking about incorporating some kind of mindfulness and self-healing and those techniques into education, into schooling, and
yes.
Kim was saying that we are still in 19th century. With that, I couldn't agree more. It's so true. And to that extent, I think that is the entire reason that the entire education system needs re-evaluating the needs. And we cannot just keep going on how we have been going on since the day school started. That means that if there is no change, we are not progressing, we are not moving forward, and we are just static, and that does not help. So I very much agree to that statement. I just wanted to say that. And just to give a little bit of introduction, I'm a pharmacologist and a mental health advocate as well. I've just established a global mental health association where we are trying to build a platform to incorporate mental health professionals from around the world, trying to join them all in on the platform. And we want to change the government policies in every country, not just
Oh,
one.
how inspiring.
Really?
So what we want to do is, globally. Everything has to be done globally.
We have a sign language.
Yes.
So we do this, right?
Yes.
We unite everything together.
Definitely.
For many blessings, and we love each other. So this is how.
Oh.
And also we do like this as well.
And we do live and living, right?
Live and let live.
Now that we're living, we have to make a living. So this is our new empowerment from our crisis. Now that we're living, we have to make a living, and or live and let live, as Ankit says. So I can't say in the U.S. it's kind of like this right now.
Cool.
We're fighting amongst ourselves, and I'm hoping that we can find peace. And that's what I want to innovate: is stop fighting about who's who and what's what, and start finding the solutions. We need to stop pointing fingers. We need to stop putting blame, and we need to start making solutions happen. And because right now we're at that anger mode. Whenever there's trauma, there's 5 stages that we go through when we have trauma, right? Anger is one of them. Blame is another. And we're not going through the stages fast enough for me. But denial, right? There was a lot of that going on. So I would like to start seeing that acceptance part, and where we start taking ownership and start moving forward. And right now the U.S. is struggling with that, for many reasons, because we still live in the 18th century, and we need to grow up and get out of that 18th century mindset. And Abhijit, and not just stop our conversation here, but one of the things he said in the very beginning of all this is that we're doing a huge reset, right? A huge reset, not just the earth that's getting clean, but as humans, humanity, in our way and lifestyles and our businesses. And we need to come out stronger, right? And when we come out, we need to have these new mindsets in place to make things better. So this is a great opportunity to learn how to refocus, to teach our children how to refocus in school, because we haven't been teaching them all the skill sets they need to live. We don't teach them the financial fitness skills or strategies on how to do better for family. And maybe we would have less children in reform centers if we taught these things in school rather than teaching them robotic, systematic lessons in
Multiplication,
school,
yeah.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
we've kind of talked about this before, Kim, where I think that a big problem, I mean, I love that wanting to incorporate these fiscal skills. I think it's so important. But I think it's something that is even like at the deeper root of the problem is that like we need to instill a self-love within these children, within these people that
I was
motivates
just
them to
going to
find
say
it in
that.
the
Yeah.
first start, for the first
Yeah.
place. You know?
It's I think it's more about the personality traits that
Yeah.
need to be instilled at a very young age. Things like self-love or how to build self-confidence. Things like that need to be instilled at school level.
Yes.
Before kids grow up and they don't have that identity crisis where they are still trying to figure themselves out, and we are just following that monotonous syllabus pattern where English, maths, science, etc. All of that is just going on and on and on, and it's just it's not getting anybody anywhere. I mean, not to say that it is not important, but what's more important moving forward is to instill these personality traits into kids at a young age so that they are empowered more. We talk about all this empowerment, whether it's women empowerment, whether it's any kind of empowerment, but where is the change?
Yeah.
Where is the change that needs to be instilled? Where is the change that needs to be brought upon? The self-help blogs and everything. I mean, okay, for example, a person has reached to a point where he wants to commit suicide. Now, how and why has he got to that point, right? So if you rewind back and try to find the root cause lies in education, and the root cause lies in schooling. If somebody thinks that they are not confident enough, they face so many life battles, etc., but if at that young age those skills were instilled in the individual, maybe we wouldn't have such high rate of suicides in the entire world. So when we
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very true, Mansi. What you said. When I go to one-to-one sessions, when I take them through the processes, what comes up for them is a childhood memory or a childhood
yeah
trauma, which
yeah
I'm gonna write
was,
this down.
and you know what, those when we work with the childhood, the echo of the person, maybe the younger you, which we say,
yeah
we come up with a very small thing. I just wanted my mama to hug me and say it's okay.
exactly
This is a
exactly
very
yeah
small thing, and I go
yeah
like, oh, they just needed a hug when they were a kid,
yeah
and they just
yeah
wanted to hear this everything going to be okay. It's okay that
yeah
you broke the glass. It's okay that you failed. It's okay that someone teased you, and I'm there for you. So all these small things which we ignore with our children, or when we were children. And they come up with a bigger problems, which I said in our
Yes.
last discussion,
yeah
that
yeah
we have this tendency to put everything under the rug, and
yes
then they come with a big disaster, and then we start figuring out where it started,
yeah
and then we go and land in our childhood. So very
That
beautiful
is
point,
so,
Mansi.
if that
it
reminds me so
yeah
much of, because of the conditioning that we do. I was shared this with someone from the day most babies are born, they feel the love. Like the minute they're born, they're held, they're hugged,
yeah
the breath, I mean, everything. And you are immediately in love with them. Most
yeah
babies, right?
yeah
Fortunately, most babies, no matter what, but somewhere from that point until we grow up, there's a detachment, right? And there is no more of, that I'm in love with you. And that's what we look for, I think. I think we felt it from the second we were born, that we continue seeking that, and we have that expectance that when
That's
we don't
profound.
get it, it hurts so
You know,
bad.
I recently did a seminar on self-validation and how important is that self-validation. Where the seeds come from, it's the childhood where the seeds come from, right? And as you progress and as you go further, that self-validation just becomes this huge monster that you have to deal with. And there are so many expectations constantly arising around you, whether it's personal, professional, anything. But you know, nobody teaches you how to deal with that. And I don't understand that. I mean, why? Because see, when a person qualifies as an engineer, for example, they learn all these, you know, syllabus patterns, the pattern of school, the pattern of university. They're going to come out, graduate, become an engineer, right? Okay, fine. Now, what about the real life patterns? What about practically what they will have to do with the pressures and everything outside in the world? Nobody has told them that. I mean, every human being is just expected to deal with those pressures as they come along, whereas the emotional capacity is just not there.
Yeah.
There's so much involved in being accepted in society, right? You have everybody who's taught differently. Like I was fashionably challenged and overweight, right? And name calling. People call me the pork from Ork. Just stupid things, right?
Yeah.
And you're not socially accepted, whether you don't have the money to do certain things or things like that. And we become this harsh society of having to fit a certain mold that maybe if we could change that in the school.
Yeah.
But it's like you mentioned, you could not have been more profound. I think we're all talking about this. It's easy to put a measurement on academic skills, right? Either you learn how to do 1 + 1 = 2. That's easy to grade.
Yeah.
But it's not
Yeah.
easy to grade what's accepted in society and in social manners. It's not.
No, if only we would, you know, provide them with that skill set as they are growing up, I think a lot of people would be helped. A lot of people wouldn't reach to that point, that breaking point where they think that there is no out of this. So it's
Absolutely.
very, yeah.
But
So,
Yeah.
but Mansi, what I experience is that a lot of people at a breakup point, they have changed their life tremendously because they were not discussing about that suicide part, and they were thinking about let's be positive, let's go out and do something, and they have changed their life tremendously in a it's like a 90-degree curve for them. And I think a lot of people also, I mean, when they fail, I mean, I can talk about myself. I failed a lot of times, but then I learn, and then I move on basically.
You
So
know
people,
what? And I think that's why.
yes,
That's
sir.
yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Sarah.
That's why I said about the fiscal tools and the root thing being how they feel about themselves, because someone who has this inner critic that's always pounding on them, it's always going to lead them to make bad decisions. They keep them in a state of poverty or failure because that's where they are mentally. That's where they keep themselves. They're in a prison of this is who I am, and the decisions they make reflect that.
Wow.
also, you know, then people go through identity crisis, what Ankit
Yeah.
is talking about. That is the reason, because they completely change the mentality. They completely try and change themselves and become something which they are not. Okay, so at some point, that is going to reach another breaking point where you're just going to think, this is the new person that I am, which you're not. And how long is that going to last?
And that's where a lot of
So,
people get stuck.
In the United States, we have this phrase "middle-aged crises," when you followed the program very well, and then you got the things that you're supposed to get, and then you have a crisis because it's not making you happy. It's not making you feel comfortable. It's not like you've been hugged. You know, you have not got that kind of reaction, and you expected it. You would get it by doing all the things you were programmed to do. And so people flip out. They buy fast cars, they do crazy things, or things that are unproductive and not good for themselves.
You hit the nail on the head called expected, the things that they expected. And I used to have a phrase, maybe I wrote it down during my midlife crisis, but I said, have no expectations, have no disappointments.
It's true.
Right. And it was an evolution for me, because one day I just walked in because I had so many expectations and none of them were met. Right. It was at work, of course, and I was so disappointed. And I'm like, but you know what? Everybody has a reason why things didn't get met. So, but I actually had to lower my expectations in order to not have disappointments. But happiness, somebody used the word happiness. I think it might have been Sarah. The word happiness is different. I wrote in my book about this. We all want happiness. Whenever I interview someone, no matter who it is, a millionaire and a billionaire, we've had a lot of them on our shows. I always ask that question, what do you want? Or what did you want? It's always happiness. Everyone uses that word, right?
Yeah.
So I delve deeper to what does happiness mean to you? Because what I learned is it's different for everyone. We all want.
Yeah, exactly. It's very individual. It's very individual that what happiness is. That is why that is the scary thought that when you're counseling, like Anandmai just said, when you're counseling people, when you're talking to anybody, no solutions are like one solution for all. That okay, you follow this and you will be fine, or you follow this and you'll feel better. It cannot work like that, because everybody thinks differently. Everybody has different priorities in life. Everybody is at different stages. So there is no one solution for everyone. But I think if those policies were incorporated in schools and universities to at least have one module, for wellness, for mental health awareness, for wellness, for mindfulness, to incorporate all those things and try and empower the young generation so that they are more aware of what they can foresee in life, and it's like giving them the armor to fight against life. So,
that's very true, Mansi, about the mental health awareness. So I was sitting one day and I was thinking that when I talk about what I do apart from my job, people are like, is that some kind of a black magic? What are you talking about?
We call that a witch here in the United States. They used to hang century time. They call that a witch here.
And
I'm good with it. I'm a witch.
Myself with a black pointed hat and a broom. Then I thought, and then they asked me that why mental health is so important, why we need to work with the emotions. And then I was thinking to come up with a very funny but understandable example. And what was it? It's quite a funny and little gross that every morning, like we eat every day, and every morning we just let all the toxic and non-wanted material out of our body. What happens if we get constipated? All our systems goes on haywire.
You know what? We had that conversation with Dr. Yu yesterday.
Don't eat tomatoes.
He also makes a great coffee for this problem. So, but seriously, you're right. What happens when we clog up, and get constipated? So that's good.
When we physically get constipated, all our system goes haywire. We start having headaches and other stuff, other problems. So the same happens when you get emotionally constipated. You will not feel the confidence. You will not feel the self-worth. Everything will, even if someone comes and appreciates you, you will feel no.
I can always count on Ankit for a remedy from India.
Oh God, Ankit, you're too much.
But that won't help with your emotional constipation.
Jim, that's why we are there to help them with
that's what we are there for.
There you go. A whole bag of
good.
There you go.
Sometimes those help, but then that adds to your emotional addiction eating. So
no, that's actually so true though. When we rely on
She got you.
us
Oh,
all
So
the
the
negative
candy,
emotions, the
the
things
candy
that are all
which I told you,
lined up.
that's a coffee candy basically.
A
It's
coffee
only
candy.
coffee flavor. That's it. Nothing else.
Coffee candy.
You know what we confuse the addiction only with alcohol or smoking. We get addicted to food, we get addicted to some kind of juices, we get addicted to candies, mobile phone, TV,
Everything.
Drugs.
horrible biscuit.
Drugs.
That's how he gets through all these shows.
A lot of drugs. People get so addicted to a drug. The opioid issue is so bad in the U.S. The fentanyl.
everywhere. Kim,
yeah.
it's everywhere. Even
Right.
even here, yeah, even in the UK,
Well,
in
because it's
India, everywhere.
It
And
replaces
Kim, the best part is that,
missing feeling.
and the best part is that during the lockdown, the people who are addicted, they get all those stuff, and the general stuff is not available, but then they have all the stuff available with them.
You know,
Always,
I think it's
always
really
you'll find it.
For my painkiller. Street sales went up.
we don't really actually address all the
mostly
things with
women in India,
addiction.
mostly women in India or across the globe, we usually get addicted to food when we are stressed out.
Yeah,
Big bucket of ice cream, or
ice cream and chocolates.
Chocolate. Yes.
Ice,
Yeah.
We have to high five.
Yes,
Anandmai, we
Kimberly.
have to high five.
ice cream and dark chocolate. It's my main. And let me tell you something. I got to write these people. You guys got to help me write to them. They're
Oh.
discontinuing the dark chocolate when they can't do that.
Yeah.
I know.
We'll write a letter and start a campaign.
Yeah, we got to start a campaign because I'm going to be a grumpy person if I don't have ice cream and my dark chocolate.
we'll talk
Mansi,
separately for
can
this.
we count on your signatures?
I will send them out. Everyone sign my petition because we can't get rid of dark chocolate and ice cream.
Discriminatory.
There you go, M&Ms.
Woody Allen in the movie Sleeper said that we, in the future, will find out that hot fudge sundaes were the nature's most perfect food.
Oh, he is so right. To go to McDonald's.
We don't need to go to the future to find that out. We self-validate that.
Just saying hot fudge sundae and I just melt, right?
Oh.
You know the way to your heart.
McDonald's at 99
You should try a chocolate soda then. Try a chocolate soda.
Chocolate children, that's right.
Well, Yogi Kumar, I would say that if they think you're a witch, then you, at least the upside is you can go out as yourself on Halloween.
Yeah, very true. Unfortunately, we don't have a festival like Halloween here in India. But next time, whenever I'm there at Halloween time, I'm just going to be there out.
So come on Halloween because that's
There
when
goes
I
that
celebrate
witch.
my birthday. So come on Halloween and we can all be witches because I in the 18th century I would be considered a witch because I would want to heal people. We all would be because we want.
I had a pointy hat.
I have
last one. I had a pointy hat and the king.
Halfway there. Yeah, just the part.
hold on. I got one better. Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's interesting to think about the why we would label women witches, because women were usually making poultices to heal, and that was in the dark, cooking and making these poultices and doing all these things with herbs, this weird stuff that men did not understand, and so they were practicing something that they had to label, and they labeled it witchcraft. And these women who were basically healers became witches. And it was a very interesting progression. Oh, there you go.
This is the modern day without the point.
Uh-huh.
This is the modern day witch's hat. I got it up in Salem when I was up there visiting a year ago to pay tribute to the women who died for being prosecuted as witches. But a lot of people don't understand, they use the fact that they were doing things, the medicine and stuff like that, as a means to prosecute and stone them. But they were really being prosecuted and killed for their land. These were women.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, these were women who actually owned land that the rich people wanted. And because they were, probably single women, most of them were single women, single moms, they came up with this law about if you were a witch, we could kill you, prosecute, and the land becomes to the government. So every one of them were prosecuted for that. I love the memorial there for these women. It makes me cry more than any other memorial. I know that we've got a lot of memorials in this country, but they were prosecuted purely for the horrible
For the greed, for the greed
And they
of
were
others.
prosecuted pretty terribly. I mean, pretty just disgustingly. They did terrible things to these women.
Oh, they tortured them immensely. They would put them in these little cramped cells, and they would have to sit there with no food, no means to go to the bathroom, nothing, and they would deteriorate their bodies until the trial was over, torturing them to sign a guilty thing. And then they
even
would
stoned to death as well. The witches were stoned to death.
A lot of people don't understand what stoning is. It's called pressuring. It was legal. And they could pressure them, and only one man was pressured, and they treated him as a witch because of the same thing. They wanted his land, but they put a door on you. They lay you flat and they put a door on you. They set stones on you.
My favorite one, if I can use that word, was they would lower you into the water. And
I've heard about that.
And if you did not drown, you were a witch, so they could burn you. But if you did drown, then you weren't a witch.
Then you weren't a witch, and
they had you coming or going. You know,
we had no win-win. There was no win-win for. They wrote these laws, though. The men wrote these laws.
Oh, of course.
So, and this is why I really am emphatic about writing my book and making sure it's written right. About we can do exactly the same thing, but we're treated with shame and punished, as in men could do exactly the same thing and they receive fame. And that's why I'm working on, and it's not to put men down. It's just history, her story, actually, not his story. His story is HISTORY. Her story is HER. Nick thinks that's funny. I do that, but that there is a reason why we have certain words. But the thing is that we want to change this, right? We want to change it. We have this reset button, and there's no reason why we can't come out healthier and better and smarter and more equal and more on a, like we're all talking today, we're all on this level playing ground. How do we come out? Because we're all feeling it, right? And this is the message Ann Kidd and I have been sending out to people, because there has been a very high suicidal rate, as well as a high, very, very high rise in domestic violence rate.
Yeah.
And we are here and open for anyone to contact us if they need help. If they just need to talk, if they just need
that is the problem, Kim. That is the problem in, I think, all the countries around the world, that there are no platforms where people can just let it out, where somebody can just, for example, maybe if I have a neighbor who wants to talk, or who is feeling suicidal, or who is, even if you, Ankit, if you Google it right now, even in India, you wouldn't find the helplines. The suicide helplines are, there are timings. No, there are timings,
they do not work.
And there are timings that, maybe like 8 to 10 or 9 to 5 or something like that. And I'm like, suicides don't work on timing. So I don't understand the ridiculousness of that how can you come up with helplines and have timings on it? Same thing. UAE did not have a suicide helpline for so long. I think it has just been established a couple of weeks ago by the UAE ministry, and again they have timings on it. So
I agree.
We don't have.
There is no time for.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll feel suicidal on your schedule.
Right. I have received calls in the middle of the night.
It's so funny, I had a very, very scary experience, recently. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, one of my friends, well, not friends, but I've known this person for a long time, maybe more than 5 years or something. And she suddenly gave me a call, and she was standing in her balcony on like 18th floor of her building. And she was like, Mansi, I just want to jump down. I just don't feel like it anymore. And it was like, somewhere close to midnight, my time here. And I just got up and I was like, what is wrong with you? And what has happened? Talk it out, talk me through it or whatever. And eventually after an hour's conversation, I'm not a certified suicide counselor or anything like that. But what I'm trying to make a point is that if at any point in time, if anybody comes to you, you are a human being first. So the humanity should be there to understand the situation and to be able to, at least talk to them so that they feel better. And sometimes it's all about talking.
Yes.
People don't need much. Sometimes
They need to be
it's just
heard.
about you just need to be heard.
So
And I
They want this too. They want a hug.
I don't know how difficult it is just for anybody to be there for someone, even if it is a stranger on the train or stranger walking down on the path and people sitting in the park, and somebody just comes up and says, I'm just not feeling too well, or I'm just not feeling right about things. Spare your 10 minutes and hear them out. You might never know when you save a life.
And
this
sometimes it
again-
might be more than 10 minutes. I've been on the phone for an hour with someone trying to
Exactly.
just keep them from doing exactly what you're
Right.
talking about.
Yeah,
So many people are doing that. What is an hour or two? They don't always need to go to the hospital or a doctor. They just need
No.
what we were talking about earlier.
No, but Kim, they might never. The problem is, Kim, they might never even do that. They might never reach the doctors. They might never,
Right.
reach the right people. So
They
you
exist.
cannot just, So you cannot just leave it at
They
that.
love.
So.
But
Yeah.
you know what? We are here at Dr. Sagu's time. I would like to ask: is there, because we talk about Japanese Reiki and calmness and doing this, is there a task that maybe we can do moving forward between now and next week that you would suggest for us to kind of uplift ourselves this week, love ourselves, and then we'll get together next week and try to help other people come up with a solution. Is there?
Oh, I love
Okay,
that.
so we are again at the same place where we started, as just a small thing which I wanted to add for Mansi's thing, that if we stay in here and now, we'll see the slightest difference in our friends and family who are going through a bad phase. So we have to be there in this present moment to see that slight difference in their behavior. Have they gone
Yeah.
quiet, or are they so loud? They can be
Yeah.
so loud also if there's something wrong going with them. So that's one thing. To what you asked him is, you have to put your hands on your heart and just say a prayer for yourself. It could be anything. And just put your hands like this and say, I love you 3 times. And not to the body, not to the person, the child sitting inside. And you will start hearing that child, that what the child asks is asking for. You just need to say all those things to that little child inside. And when in all this chaos, if you feel overwhelmed, you need to hold your fingers like this, and 3 minutes each. Okay, like this.
3 minutes
And
each
then
finger.
yes, so it will take 15 minutes, one hand. You do not have to do with both the hands and legs. So uh, it just starts 15 minutes. If you have time, you can go both the ways. That's not a problem. You will feel that you will feel little heartbeats in your finger. And that represents that what exact emotion is going through with you. Even if you will not talk to me that what you're feeling and just tell me which finger is having the heartbeat, I can tell what emotion or what layers of emotion you are going through.
What finger has each motion to it?
We're going to learn
Okay.
next week. We'll learn next week because we have Dr.
Okay,
Sagu.
practice and then
This
we
is
will
our
learn it next
homework,
week.
folks. And Mansi, if you've got a task
Thank you.
as well, thank you so much.
Namaste, Sat Shri Akal.
And namaste, Dr. Sagu. Welcome. And it's Dr. Sagu. He's going to share with us some wonderful ideas on how we can reduce obesity which
You
is
know,
over our world, but also how we can build our immunity, right?
yeah, it is. I mean, it's a great platform. I would like to say, as I was hearing to Mansi and Anandmai and the another one. So it
Sarah.
is all. It is. I can say it is a compulsory to keep a child alive inside your body, right? And these are the very, very good practices if you can serve the other people to strengthen their mental health. And so those people they are doing heads. I mean, salute to you, Mansi, Arunbhai, and all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just writing down what you said. Keep your child alive inside of your body. I love that. I think that's really
And
profound.
I think I would just like to add a little something to what Anandmai has suggested and said. Apart from doing that, also do one task in the entire day which connects you to yourself, which connects you. Do something creative. Just one task, anything creative, cooking, mm, coloring, drawing, painting, music, whatever connects you with yourself. So even if you spare like 10-15 minutes in a day and just do something out of the ordinary routine, I think that will help the brain cells, that will help you. And I think it might also help with the immunity thing that Dr. Saggu is saying as well. So try it out and then see if there is any change. Ankit, we can try and speak next week
Yeah.
and see if there is any change in that.
Yeah, that's true, Mansi. So, what is the definition of meditation? Meditation is when you give your 100% whatever you are doing, whether you are reading, watching, cooking, dancing,
Yeah.
even each and every form is a meditation when you concentrate on each and every activity with 100% efforts.
Yeah. True.
So am I
Yeah.
meditating when I'm playing chess?
Yes,
That
Yes, yes,
works.
even playing
Yes,
chess
that
also.
works.
Yeah,
Yes.
that 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 that
Drawing
that was
also helps to
that was
meditate as well.
twofold, we can say. Yeah,
What
Some
I'm
that
people
was
do a
twofold.
lot of drawing, a lot of sketches. That also a kind of meditation for them.
Yeah, so it is a mental activity along with the
Yeah.
meditation. So chess is, you can say, the twofold meditation.
Yeah.
now, Dr. Saggu, am I saying your name right, Dr. Saggu?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Sarah, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Dr. Saggu, my question for you was, with meditating and being more aware, would you say that being more aware of our thoughts and trying to counteract negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones is something that can beneficially affect our immunity?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. If you are getting positive things, you are absorbing the positive things, and you are exiting your negative things, and you are getting awareness. The awareness, maybe you become aware of the air which you are taking inside. You have become aware of the water you are taking. You have become aware of the food you are eating. You become aware of the words you are listening. So creating awareness is increasing your immunity. So you're boosting
Mm,
your immunity when you are aware of the things, when you are getting the positive things.
mm. So everything we're around is something we really need to be mindful of in terms of
Yeah,
how is this affecting me? Because it could really be, it's affecting us on every level.
yeah,
Wow.
So
That's
Dr.
why
Saggu, I think mental health and immunity kind of go hand in hand, isn't it?
yeah. Mental health, when you have a good mental health, you have a healthy
Yeah.
mentally, then definitely your immunity is on the top. When
Yeah.
you are mentally unstable, then your immunity also becomes unstable.
Yeah.
So
I,
they
Yeah.
are
I have
interlinked.
I have
They
a
are
very great example
intercontrollable.
of this mental health and stress and immunity thing. My mom was having a severe acidity problem, and we went to all the good doctors in Delhi. What happened? She was suffering it from a couple of years, but last year it aggravated for some reason. She was in too much of stress regarding so many things going around. I asked her to start meditation, and I asked someone else to do it for her, like guide her through the meditation. Today is a day when she do not take any pill for acidity,
So that
Yeah.
is why. So it
and
is
whenever
very
she's
important.
stressed,
Yeah.
it comes back.
Anandmai, I would say make your concentration and your food your medicine.
Yeah.
Your concentration and the food is the medicine. So I don't think you need an extra medicine for that.
Yeah.
Concentration and food. I like
And
that.
also, I think, and also once you are mentally fit, you have a good productivity to work as well. And that's what happened in France. They have 35 hours a week working time, which includes starting a day from your home to reaching the office as well. So in all,
Yeah.
they just allow you 35 hours a week to work because they know that if you are 100% working in office or working somewhere, you are putting your 100%, which is equivalent to maybe 70 hours or so. So that is why they have started this practice, and results are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your efficiency depends on your mental as well as your physical health. If you
Yeah.
keep your physical and the mental health in a healthy condition, I think you would be more efficient. You would be more concentrated. You would
Now,
be more confident.
It's
what would
that
And I think that
integrated.
also relates to your
Yeah.
food for soul. I think when we talk about what is the food for your soul, I think mental health and something goes hand in
That is
hand.
very important. That would be
Yeah.
the real food for you. I mean, your soul need all those food. You have to aware of everything. You have to be very calm. You have to be very conscious. You have to be very concentrated.
It's that integrated healthcare approach,
Yeah,
like
integrated
from,
healthcare approach.
yeah, yeah.
So, Ankit, let's start our show today.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's start.
today's
So
topic.
thank you, Anandmai, and thank you, Mansi, for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Ankit.
Mansi, Anandmai.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.